Hey, welcome to Natural Wonders. I'm Zacarias. So, in my personal path of becoming a bit more handy in life, which I've never really been at all, and also a bit more self sustaining and hopefully in the long run self sufficient, and also just in the sheer satisfaction of building things with my own hands, I picked up woodworking as a new hobby. So first, I just started by taking some woodworking courses, some workshops, some weekend workshops, but also some weekly courses. I started to really pick up on that hobby and really enjoy it. But also, the place where I've learned the most is what I want to talk about today. It's called Buurman. It's in Utrecht in the Netherlands, and actually have several locations in the Netherlands. And I've taken a weekly beginner's course there for about a month. And you go every week and learn how to build a nightstand, which is really cool. And over time, I started to even get more confidence after that class that I can build a lot of little things at home, just new furniture instead of going to the store for whatever I want. So over time, I've gotten the confidence to build things such as nightstands, geometric shelves, and I've gained the confidence to take on personal projects such as building a vertical herbal garden, a standing garden box, a shoe rack, a balcony bar, and mounting countless shelves. So I've been really happy about my personal projects, and I really wanted to take things to the next level, particularly because even though these things that I've created have been very useful, actually, they still don't really have that charm that I'm looking for. So I know that there's, of course, so much more to learn in that field. So I decided to take the intermediate course at Buurman. So I'm taking this 6-week intermediate course, and I want to show you the process of what that course is like, and especially for a beginner like myself wanting to become more intermediate, I feel like it'll be great to shine a spotlight on an incredible establishment in Burman for many reasons, which I'll get to, not just that they do woodworking, but also to shine a light on this traditional craft of woodworking and why I feel it's so important for us to learn a little bit about it and how it can be super practical in our own lives. In this course, we focus on the field of invisible connections, meaning how we connect different pieces of wood that doesn't jolt out of the side of the final piece like everything I've built so far. The first step to any building project is the design. So we all took out the pen and pad and drew up our plans. The idea of the course was mainly to build a cabinet, but they left enough freedom to decide exactly what you want. Now, what I decided ain't a cabinet, but it was on the brochure and it looked like it posed a lot of new challenges for me, so I went for it. Also, they said the maximum size you can have is 1 meter by 1 meter. So after not much thought, I thought to make it 1 meter by 1 meter. My idea is to use it as a wall shelf where we can stand different small plants and other little decorations on a sunny spot of our apartment wall. Also, in drawing how you want it to look, you have to decide the sizes for each piece. If you don't know that, it makes it difficult to pick the exact pieces you need. So here you can see the green lines are all of the horizontal pieces I needed, and the black lines are the vertical pieces. That's important to know for the next step, selecting the pieces. Now, something I failed to mention about Buurman is that, in addition to a woodworking shop, it's also a hardware store for the reuse of materials, which is amazing. That means they purchase or they source used local wood and other materials and either resell it or they use it as their material for their workshops and classes. I find that important because most of our newly bought furniture comes from lumber companies constantly consuming fresh wood, which comes from forests that actually don't need to be chopped if we just looked around us and saw that there's plenty of wood in the world that's viewed as waste right now, but it's given a second life with this kind of mindset. In this way, we contribute to a more sustainable world and we use our raw materials just more logically. This material-driven design, as they call it, has bled into my own personal projects and also the way that I see the world. Now, when I'm walking down the street and I see an old ugly cabinet that someone threw out, I can now imagine that funky looking hole as the separate parts that it's made of and understand that it can be taken apart and made beautiful again as a completely new, useful object in your life. This is the number one reason I want to promote and support a business such as Buurman. The instructor also gave us a rundown of all the different typical types of wood used for building and what they have in stock. Burman has an enormous selection, and it feels like shopping in a thrift store for clothes as opposed to a shopping mall, which I would compare to your major hardware stores such as Hama or Home Depot. You never know when you'll turn a piece over and set your eyes on a gem, and in my experience from shopping at the major hardware stores for wood, at Burma you just get such better quality for a more affordable price. So I'll always come here first for any project I'm working on, as long as I live here. They also have expensive wood if you're looking for something for a more particular project and you don't really have the wiggle room to improvise, which happens sometimes. So in our class, it's a really pleasant and small group of students. Several of them were friends that signed up for the course together, so there's naturally a more warm and family feeling to the group with a lot of humor and small talks. Now that we had all the pieces picked out, now came the fun part. We took our wood and got to chopping, and chopping, and a little more chopping. We used the plunge saw, which is used to make long and smooth cuts. And for the shorter cuts, we set the wood up on the miter saw, which is much simpler to use. Up and down, up and down. The plunge saw is more difficult to use since you have to keep a certain pressure down and forward at the same time while guiding the line. The miter saw just looks scarier, since chopping off your hands looks like more of a reality, but it's actually much easier, and as long as you're careful, it's a safe task. Now, those are the only saws I use, but you can use whatever they have in store as long as you know what you're doing, such as this reciprocating saw, which I think she's using to make a place for a door handle. I've never used one, but I'd like to. Now, because my design is so intense with how much wood I'm using, the actual design and wood collection seem to take a while for me compared to others. By far, I'm using more individual pieces of wood than anyone else. That's become a running joke in the class. But once I had all the wood measured and lined up, the actual sawing of these dozens of pieces was so fast and even feels meditative, since all of the thinking has already been done beforehand. It's just the feeling of splitting fibers and the smell of sawdust in the air. Of course, this meditative experience only applies if you're wearing your ear protection, because the sound is anything but relaxing, but it's not a bother with the headphones. So we've gone through the design process and a lot of the sawing, with more to go for some. In the next class, I think we'll focus on the connections actually. Stay tuned for the progress videos. Until next time, peace.